What's up, guys? All you little MFers out there, guess who it is? It's Andy, the MFCEO, and I'm here with my good friends, Ben Newman. What's up?
What's going on, Andy?
I'm here with Vaughn.
I'm fired up.
Vaughn the pastor.
I'm fired up.
You didn't say ex-pastor this time.
I didn't say ex-pastor, because I don't want people to think that I'm ashamed of it, because I'm not. But I've been working on that Bible verse rap.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not ready.
We're going to break it out
I'm
here.
not ready for it yet, but.
And welcome back. We have a special guest today, Teresa DiPasquale, CEO of Bikini Boss Fitness. What's up?
What's up, guys?
She is a fitness entrepreneur and a new author.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell people the name of your book that's coming out.
Book will be out this spring. It's called Boss to Bikini, and it's a program that's getting the world's busiest women in ridiculous shape. And we'll probably have a pre-sale here in the next couple of months.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome, man. So a lot of times we have the question they picked out. Today we do not. So I'm going to start out the question of the day. What the fuck is wrong with people who come on your Facebook page and just seem to like write the opposite shit of whatever it is that you post about? Like, none of you guys at this table are these kind of people, right?
No.
Obviously.
No, like, do we not just scroll? Like, why don't you just scroll through? Like, when I see something that's ridiculous, I just fucking scroll through.
Or unfollow.
Or whatever. What is it? Why do people feel the need to express themselves negatively?
I believe that it makes them feel better about the fact that they are doing nothing to move the ball forward with what goals they could have or should have or would have in their lives. It's a way to take up time because they're not doing anything.
I can't relate to the mentality at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Vaughn, what do you think the reason is?
I don't know. I always say people have the right to disagree with me. It's the same as their right to be wrong.
Okay.
Because if they
But there's a big difference between disagreeing and just being
an ass.
No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I don't know.
I'm talking about being an ass.
You're saying intentionally disrespectful to the point you're trying to make.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I see this going on more and more and more in society. I see people just, the word is trolling. And I'm like.
Anonymity. It's internet tough guy.
Yeah. I mean, because like when you grow up and like, you're, in real life, it's just funny because in real life, these things, people would never do this to each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's this ability for somebody to like pick on other people. And dude, I always see people picking on people that like are on that borderline of like being fragile. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, people who are of social media and have a big following. Teresa, you have a big following. I've got a pretty big following. Ben, you're getting a big following. I mean, we're used to that shit, right?
Right.
But let's say you got somebody who's on the borderline and they're stepping out of their comfort zone, and you get somebody who's just decides to be a fucking ass, and that person just quits. That person says, "Man, I don't want to do this." Like they're in that fragile state that we've all been through, and it's just something that gets on my fucking nerves, man.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood your question because I think when you said that, I thought you were just talking about healthy debate. You're talking about people who are trolling.
Being cocksuckers.
Okay.
Yeah. People know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
I got you. In other words, they don't want to engage you. They just want to shoot you down.
Yeah. And like it doesn't bother me like when people say that shit to me, but what it does bother me is when I see them do it to people who are like just stepping out.
Yeah.
Like they're just coming out trying to step out of that comfort zone. And then you get some fucker that just steps in and squashes it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with people.
It's funny. I actually have to coach my girls on that because, part of what we do is marketing ourselves and developing your own brand online. And as you start coming to on social media, you obviously get all these types of people commenting. And a lot of the girls get like totally down on themselves and embarrassed. And I'm like, no. You got to have a thick skin.
Yeah. Because you know what it is like all of us, when that happens, we imagine that it's like somebody like us sitting there writing that comment.
Gosh, no.
You get what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
We're like, why would somebody do that? I wouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's some fucking douchebag who's sitting at 39 years old in his mom's basement and hasn't fucking washed his underwear in 7 weeks, typing some comment on the internet.
Yeah.
He's probably wearing like, some sort of fucking gamer headset.
Mom, give me some meatloaf.
Yeah. Mom, where's the meatloaf?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's what it is, man. And like, that's what you guys have to remember is that these people, when they try to step out and step on you, that's what you have to remember who this is. This is a dude sitting there in his fucking boxers with dirty socks on, and dirty underwear talking shit.
Yeah.
Because that's the most common comment I get on my Periscopes. If you're not following me on Periscope, follow me on Periscope. Andy
You like
Frisella.
Periscope?
Dude. I just broke into most loved on Periscope like 3 days ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
told
serious?
you before.
Awesome.
I told you
Number
last
one?
week's podcast I would get
Atta
there.
baby.
Yeah, we got that's top 40 in the world.
That's
on Periscope.
awesome.
So
That's
it's
very cool.
It's an awesome app, man. I mean, it's something that is going to change the way social media works. Because, dude, when you represent yourself on Instagram and Facebook, you could pre-manufacture this image. With Periscope, there's 100% transparency. You are what you are. You're a fucking live performer.
Right.
So if you can't do that, if you're fake, it's not for you. You know what I mean? And it's going to be. I think it's going to catch fire.
You need a teleprompter. It is.
No,
not for
it's
you.
not, man. Obama would not be good on Periscope. He would be fucking terrible.
He would be.
But
actually, in fairness to him, most of our Congress would be terrible.
dude, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to change the world about the app. Because people are going to expect, it's not like Twitter where you can have somebody manage it or Facebook where you have some management. It's you fucking talking to people and them talking to you. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
That's why you haven't seen it flooded with more people who are actively doing Periscopes, because you have to have a natural talent to communicate to be able to put together a Periscope.
It's a really cool app, man. I follow some cool people and have learned a lot myself on it. Most of my comments, because I always have Q&A on there, most of my comments are comments of this nature, which is why I chose it for question of the day. They're like, well, how do you get around people talking shit, or how do you get around this, or how do you get around that? And I just did a whole Periscope on this today. You know, there's a big fucking difference between somebody hating and somebody criticizing, okay? Hate is like straight up lies spread about you, slander, like shit, and putting it out there for the public. All right, that's hate. Slashing your tires, that's hate. Setting your car on fire, that's fucking hate, okay? Somebody saying, hey, I don't like the way your shirt should be blue instead of red. That's not hate. You know, somebody saying, hey, I don't like the way your fucking protein tastes. That's not hate. All right? You guys have to differentiate what is hate, because the reality is you don't get fucking hate unless you're doing something. And when you're just starting out, I'm not trying to be rude in the way I say this, but you have not done enough to really get hate, okay? So most of it's criticism, and you guys are labeling it as hate. And the reality is you can use that information to improve your product, your service, or your brand if you just would remove the idea of this pussified thought that it's hate. It's not fucking hate. Hate is, you know, somebody shooting Martin Luther King. That's fucking hate, okay? Hate is somebody, you know, attacking somebody or shooting them or, you know, beating the shit out of them. You know, like that kid up in Wyoming a few years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they killed him because he was gay. That's fucking hate.
Right.
All right. Hating is not saying you should make that shirt in fucking green and it looks stupid in blue.
You have bad form on your squat.
Yeah, you have bad form on your squats. You know, dude, no. Don't be a pussy. Identify between fucking hate and criticism and use the criticism to improve.
It's interesting that you bring this up, because I speak probably 80 to 90 times a year, and maybe 10 of the talks that I'll do, you'll get a feedback form. And I really don't pay that much attention. It's nice when people say things that are nice, but I look for the comments that give me an opportunity to grow. I look for somebody says, you know, this story or that, or when he communicated this way, and then I try to improve from the feedback. I don't look at it as somebody trying to hate me. They don't like me. It's somebody taking the time to actually give you feedback so that you can get better. And there's one moment I remember. It was a big Wells Fargo talk, about 500 people, and there was this one individual. He had this great piece of feedback. It totally shifted the way I started my talks, and it has helped me immensely in my speaking.
And how easy would it have you been like, fuck that guy? He's just hating on the way I do shit.
I could have sent it back to the guy at Wells Fargo who hires me every year and said, like, what is wrong with this guy? Don't send that stuff to me. But I wanted to grow from it.
But dude, the word hater has become such an overused fucking term in our society, and now everybody's using it as an excuse. And dude, I for one am so sick of the term. I can't stand it. You know what I mean? And these you guys, you young bucks who are just starting out in business, you guys have to realize that you are going to get criticized and you are going to do shit wrong. But that doesn't mean people hate you. Those same people that might be criticizing you might just not be presenting to you the right way, and they might want you to succeed, and that's why they're telling you the shit they're telling you. You know what I mean? You have to remember criticism and hate is two different things. Unless they're, you know, shooting you with a fucking handgun or setting your car on fire or spreading flat out lies about you, harassing you, okay? And even if they're doing that, it means you're doing something right. You know what I mean? So quit using it as a fucking excuse, because I'm tired of seeing it. Everybody I see on Instagram, I see 20 fucking memes a day about haters. Dude, you don't have any fucking haters. Your only hater is in your own brain, and you're afraid of what people might fucking say about you if you step out and do something. That's it.
Absolutely.
And then when you get fixated on the haters, you're not doing your own shit.
No, exactly.
So you're focused on the wrong thing.
And you're imagining it anyway. You're saying, oh, I have this idea and I want to step out and I want to do this, but people might say this and they might say that and they might say this. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And that's what people call haters. When in reality, it's you talking yourself out of doing something that's going to benefit you. It's craziness. It's insane. So Susan Powder or whatever the fuck that lady's name was. Stop the insanity. You know what I'm saying? Remember that lady?
Yeah.
Dude,
the
isn't that her name? Susan Powder?
Yeah.
The platinum, not the platinum, but the pewter-headed spiked lady.
Yeah. But dude, you know what?
Stop
She was
the
all about
insanity.
helping overweight people get in shape.
Yeah.
And dude, she branded herself and she was awesome, dude. Stop the insanity. Yep. Mm-hmm. Stop the fucking hater insanity. It's ridiculous. Do it because you need to improve. Don't do it because, don't not do it because you're imagining shit that doesn't even exist. That seriously makes no sense to me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So unless somebody's slashing your tires, I don't want to fucking hear about it.
Absolutely.
So, question of the day answered. Now what are we really going to talk about? What are we talking about today, Vaughn?
Well, we're going to step out here a little bit because the topic's a little out there. But in the last 2 weeks, I've heard a lot of people complain about how common it is to have really lousy meetings at work. Like literally, they make jokes about it. They talk about how much it sucks. They want to slit their throats. Dude. And so I know that you have a unique approach
I do.
to holding meetings. So we were going to talk a little bit about, we talked about the other day, just the podcast is a little bit of a mixture of success and motivation and that sort of stuff. But we also like to be very, very practical. So I thought this was a really practical topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get a lot of requests from guys, wanting motivation, and we get a lot of people wanting more practical type information that they can use to improve. This is going to be both, okay? Mm-hmm. Today you're going to walk away with something. If you're a manager, if you're a person who has to call a meeting of any sort, you are going to be better off for listening to this podcast because we're going to cover some serious ground. I'm going to talk about how I learn these things and how they improve my company, all right? So we're just going to dive right into it, guys. The number one thing that you need to understand about meetings is this. You need to approach every meeting like it's a huge timeout in the biggest game of your life, okay? Not a fucking never-ending time sucker, time waster, boring situation of, hey, guys, let's have a meeting today. That would be great. What does everybody think about this? Hey, let's have some donuts, too, and some orange juice. That's what fucking people think meetings are about. I deal with companies all the time, and all they want to do is fucking meet. But here's the reality. That doesn't get shit done, and it doesn't move you forward. It's a time suck. It's a waste suck. It ruins your culture because it disenfranchises your people with your leadership. All right? So you've got to understand a few points right up front. What does a big coach do when he takes a timeout in a big game? All right? What does he do? All right? He settles down the players and refocuses the players. That's step number one. Okay, step number two, he makes adjustments and sets up the next couple plays. All right, that's step number two. Step number three, he only talks about what's vitally important to the situation that is at hand. He doesn't talk about the weather. He doesn't talk about, what book you read. He doesn't talk about, how your family is. He doesn't talk about what you had for dinner. He talks about what we're trying to solve. What problem are we trying to solve right now? Okay, let's stay focused on that. And the fourth point is that you've got to get people back in the game quickly. If you take them out of their game, they're out working, they're out in the zone, you disrupt them to have a fucking meeting. You bring them in, they lose their focus because they've been sitting there talking to you because you're grandstanding for 7 hours. And no matter how great you think you are, nobody wants to hear you talk, all right? Nobody cares about what the fucking long johns. And if you got a culture that cares about the long johns and the fucking bear claws that you bring to the meeting, you better redefine your fucking culture right now. Okay? Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 key points, all right? Settle and refocus the players. Make adjustments to set up the next couple plays. Only talk about what's vitally important and get people back in the game quickly. What does that mean? That means get them in a fucking meeting, get them out. Here in our company, we have a 10-minute meeting rule. We do not have a meeting in this company that lasts longer than 10 minutes. There is not one meeting on earth that should last longer than 10 minutes. Get to the point, make the points, get the fuck back in the game. Okay?
Why do you think people have such a hard time trimming the fat off their meetings?
Dude, it's corporate culture, man. It's been bred into our system for years and years and years and years. It's the, a lot of managers like to manage, okay? They like to quote unquote be in business or be a manager.
Feel important.
Yeah, exactly. It feeds their ego, right? I'm important.
Right.
And
listen to me talk.
Right. And that's and we've all been there. I've been in a million of these. Dude, I've held these meetings. You know how I know? I'm not sitting here saying this is how you should do it. I'm sitting here saying I've fucking done it the opposite way and it doesn't work. You're going to ruin your momentum. All right? I have learned this through experience, and lots of other people out there have done the same. I've held years and years and years of pointless meetings. Years.
Do you think that's because there is a mentality out there that thinks, well, we're business, I guess we have to have meetings. So they just have this standing meeting every week or every day at a particular time, and they're like, I guess I have to come up with things to say because we're a business, we got to meet.
My experience has been is that there's a huge difference between a manager and a leader. A leader does not want to be in a meeting for an hour. A leader wants to get Andy in front of him. Let's figure out what's going on. Here's the point. Here's a little bit of fire. Here's a solution to the problem. Go.
And let's go kick ass.
Whereas a manager wants to be able to have 8 one-hour meetings, take a little break, maybe grab a little food, so at the end of the day he can report back to the CEO, what a busy day I had. I had 8 one-hour meetings. And that's more managers than leaders.
And if you listen to the podcast, you know that being busy is not the point. Being effective is the point. How many of you all listening right now would rather sit in a 10-minute meeting than a 1-hour meeting? Show your hands. All right. I know everybody's raising their motherfucking hands right now saying yes. But how many people go to a meeting and have to like go through these slides and go through this stuff and go through this usually people who are holding these kind of meetings are boring. You know, I've never been in a meeting with somebody who holds it for an hour that's been exciting. You know, let's face it, most people aren't good at keeping people's attention for that long. Even if you have tons of energy and tons of charisma, it's still going to be hard to hold people's attention that long. You know, we do 10 minutes. It doesn't mean you have to do 10 minutes. That's what works for us. But just do the points that we're talking about.
Well, I think the other point to make, too, that is a good one, is that we're talking about the meetings that you regularly have to have. They're obviously going to be every 6 months, every couple years, a meeting where it's going to be more of an intense planning session.
Yes.
But yes, on a regular basis, you're talking about don't keep people in the boardroom for 2 to 3 hours.
From back before there was like easy communication like there is now. Because now like you can communicate most of the stuff you need through email or text, whatever you need to do. And the meetings are literally need to be very, like, for me, it's trainings. Right. If I have to train them on something, it's like, come in, boom, get them out. See, I'm online, so I have to be efficient.
Right.
Because I can't get people in one spot often.
Right.
So it's taught me to be very efficient.
Right.
But it's like, you can do most of what you need through communication, and literally, like, I don't even really have
At
meetings.
this point, it's almost like a recap. Like, dude, all right, everybody knows the thing we're going to do. This is how you do it if you don't know. Now get the fuck out and let's go do it. You know, and it should be more like a go-to-battle meeting than it is a fucking business meeting, in my opinion. You know, but that goes back to the culture that we talked about, how you build culture, you know?
Right.
I feel like the bottom line, man, is this, and people could improve their culture tremendously by following the key points that we just talked about. Too many bosses out there are holding 2 to 3 hour meetings. You know, that's all time that you guys could be using to go out and get shit done. For you to hold a good meeting when at all possible, it needs to be done quickly, it needs to be done efficiently, it needs to be done effectively, and you need to be running out of the room ready to kill shit. That's the bottom line. You know, people need to trim the fucking fat, get to the point, and get your guys back in the game so that you guys can win. Okay, this isn't about who's the coolest guy in the office or what we ate for dinner. Nobody gives a fuck. We all want to win. We're all in the business to win. And guess what? We all want to make more money, and the way we make more money, the way we succeed is by going out and fucking winning. And every minute you spend talking about the fucking donuts or whatever else, you know, the coffee, oh, this coffee sucks. Every minute you talk about that, you are wasting time that you could be using to win. You know, and people get away from that. That's corporate America, man. People spend so much time trying to justify their existence and their payroll. I spent 17 hours this week in meetings with the team. Oh, really? Well, I spent 7 fucking minutes, and they're more effective than your 17 hours. Now, who commands more payroll? You see what I'm saying? I mean, dude, I for one, I mean, that you guys know, all you guys know, you know, I run things pretty casually here, okay? And, you know, I wear the same clothes every day. You know, I buy my shorts at Gander Mountains. I might show up in flip-flops. You know, this is the reality of business is not the suit you wear or the car you drive or the role you play in business. It's about getting things done. You know, excuse me, it's about getting shit done. This is the MFCEO Project. I got to correct myself.
I'm rubbing off on you,
right.
man.
Yeah, gosh, Vaughn. Vaughn is just making me a non-cursing MFer. Vaughn, you're going to ruin the podcast.
I know.
So, that's my first point, and that leads me into point number 2, which is the point of your meeting should be very clear. Okay. If you need to cover more than one point per agenda, fine, but keep the points to a bare minimum. Okay. Don't overload people with things that they need to do. I mean, Ben, how many times you spend a lot of time in corporate America?
Yeah.
Okay. How
That's
much?
where my comments came from.
Yeah. How much time? I mean, honestly, how much time is wasted in corporate America via what we're talking about?
It makes me sick to my stomach even thinking about how many hours I spent in meetings that I had no business being in, because as a high performer, I wanted to be performing. I did not want to be stuck in a meeting having somebody hold me back.
Right.
I cannot take action when I am required to be sitting in a room listening to information that really does not have any benefit to me, other than the 10 minutes I could pull out to your point that actually did have the benefit, and the meeting should have been 10 minutes.
Right. And it doesn't matter, guys. You guys might be listening to this, okay? And you might be a new business owner with only one employee. These rules apply to that, okay? You don't have to be 100 employees deep or 20 people or 5 people. It could be you and one other person. We still need to stay focused, because the reason if we don't stay focused is that people get information overload, okay? You flood them with tons and tons and tons of points. You come to a meeting with enough points that are the same as the amount of pens in a fucking pen box. You're going to overload this person with information, and they're not going to know what to do when they leave.
I'll give you guys a good perspective for the small business. So for our business, we have 2 full-time employees. It doesn't take a huge team, and then we have subcontractors we work with. But Kim, who is basically the right hand of the operation, my partner, she's unbelievable. Been with me over 5 years.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is incredible. We have a 5-minute meeting every morning. I wake up, I have a to-do list, I send her an email, I call her after I drop off the kids at school if I'm in town, and I say, Kim, any questions, any thoughts? Hey, I want to run a couple things by you, run them by me. It is 5 minutes. I could easily on my calendar go, Kim, let's have our 30-minute powwow. Let's start the day.
Let's go have breakfast and have a meeting at breakfast. And
it's 5 minutes, and she and I are so dialed in. She can speak like me. I can speak like her. I don't need more than 5 minutes. Call me later in the day if you need something. We'll talk another 5 minutes.
Right.
It's 5 minutes, and that's a small business perspective.
Right.
And it works.
It does work, and so many employees become literally, like, there's a funny scene. I was just watching this movie last night, actually. The Need for Speed. Everybody knows I love cars, okay? Need for Speed is a car movie. There's a point in the movie where one of the guys who's like the main car guy gets called up by his buddies to go race across the country, and he's in corporate America. So he's like sitting in a cubicle, typing on his computer, like looks completely miserable. And they call him, and they're like, dude, come on, let's go. We're going to go for a ride. And if you've seen the movie, you know the part I'm talking about. So this guy's like, no, I'm not doing it. You guys ruin everything I have. And they're like, oh, well, listen to the noise. And he hears the car rev outside. And dude, he like freaks out. And then he like starts taking off all his clothes and walks out butt naked of the office. And it's hilarious. But there's one part that is really the truth. Okay. He gets in the elevator with a lady who's like in her, I don't know, probably mid 60s. He's butt naked. All right. She looks at him and doesn't even notice that he's naked. And she goes, I'm in accounting. And he goes, do you feel like you're dying inside every day? And she goes, yes. That's what a fucking long meeting does to your employees. A long meeting of you huffing and puffing about stupid shit makes people want to fucking kill themselves.
Dive out of the windows.
Okay, it's like the little emoji with the straight face and then the revolver that people send. Like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like
a bunch of emojis.
If you're running a meeting and you're longer than 10 minutes and your points are numerous and all this shit, you should envision every single person in that meeting with the straight mouth emoji, because that's what they're thinking. Right. If they're all texting each other, they're sending each other that emoji. All right.
My brother told me the other day that he was in a meeting that was like an hour and a half long, and he was watching "Can't Buy Me Love" on his phone. You know that
That's
old,
what I'm saying.
That old
terrible.
1980s movie, "Can't Buy Me
Waste.
Love." Yeah.
Yeah, but see, people.
And the person leading the meeting thinks that they are dead on
Oh, they're
point,
killing it.
driving it home.
Yeah.
They are just knocking the cover off the ball.
Dude, if you don't have people coming up to your meeting after the meeting and be like, dude, that was a great meeting,
Yes.
then you're doing it
Totally.
wrong.
Totally.
Okay? So there's guys, and this is not just us bullshitting here, okay? There are studies out there that say the human brain can only process so much information at once. 3 points is the usual amount of information that people can walk away with. 5 to 7 is pushing it, and beyond that, it's a total waste of time. So any time that you put in past we're getting this done is a waste anyway. It's scientifically proven. I don't have the study to cite here right now, but we could find it. Mm-hmm. The reality is guys, you can't overload your people. You're going to kill their drive. You're going to kill their motivation. You'll kill their momentum, and they'll hate you. They'll make fun of you when you walk by, and it's not like they make fun of you like in a good way, like, hey, motherfucker, what's up? It's like, dude, that guy walks by, and they're like, God, I hate that guy, and then they laugh about you with beers. Don't be that guy. Give him a fucking kick in the ass, get him on track, and let's go out and win. If you go into a meeting without clearly knowing what point it is you want to make or what you're trying to accomplish, your team members are going to be even more confused and more frustrated than they were being completely disorganized because you just wasted their time, their energy, and their focus to talk about shit that is irrelevant to them. You guys have to stay focused. You've got to stay on a 3-point minimum, 5-point maximum. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even say 3-point minimum. I'd say it could be 1 point. It could be 2 points, but let's say 5-point maximum.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thought I had was I think a lot of managers, and I think they are managers, Ben, you're right that they're not leaders. I think managers think, well, if I spend all this time with them, then in some strange way they're going to think, well, okay, I care about them. I'm present to them. But the reality is it's exactly the opposite. They're devaluing their employees' time by wasting it.
Well, it's like when somebody calls you all the time, okay? It's just that weird human psychology about being in demand, If you want people to listen to what you say, don't be available all the time. Come in, kick ass, get the fuck out. And then you're going to have your employees pay attention to everything you say because they're going to trust that you're not going to waste their time. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they already know, like when Vaughn comes in the meeting and he's got something to say, they're going to listen. You're not going to have that problem of people looking around the room and playing on their phones and all this shit because they're going to say, all right, he's not going to waste my time. He's only going to be on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. I'm going to walk out of here with something useful. I'm going to pay attention. And now you have a good culture of learning as opposed to, just this going through the motion type thing because you're respecting their time.
Right. Okay, so maybe you're going to get to this, but I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. So you talked about trimming the fat from your agenda, and you talked about only including that which is the most necessary. Well, suppose you're coaching a manager or a CEO or whatever, and they have an agenda in front of you, and they say, okay, Andy, this is the agenda that I had planned for the meeting that I was going to run, and you see that it's full of all sorts of crap that shouldn't be on there. What are the questions that you're going to ask him, or what are the little guidelines that you're going to give him that's going to help him to trim the fat on his agenda?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm coaching somebody who's giving a meeting.
Right, exactly.
Right. So that's a great question and a great point. It's a different perspective than what we're talking about here. All right, you're coaching a manager a direct report who manages people for you. Okay, first thing you've got to ask is there a point on the agenda that only applies to some people? Because a lot of people like to do this. They like to cover a point. They think that that's an efficient way to handle business. And they think like, okay, I've got 2 guys that are screwing up out of 20. I'm going to cover their screw up in front of everybody. First of all, that's a waste of time because if you got 18 people doing it right and you got 2 people doing it wrong, you're putting those 18 people through time that they don't need to be there. It's not efficient. It's not effective. Number 2, while you think you're covering something that needs to be covered with everybody, those 18 people are thinking, dude, I got this shit. Okay. So they're going to become disenfranchised. They're going to lose the trust in you to deliver a quality message. So you've got to cut that out right away. The second question would be, is there a point that I could just include in an email, a short message? And the likelihood is there's probably a couple points. Mm-hmm. So you could just summarize those points in an email. Take those, make a short email, send them out as a supplement to the meeting, something like this. Hey guys, I know we just had this meeting. It was really good. Thank you for paying attention. 2 things I wanted to mention, but I didn't want to take up a lot of your time is boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. It's real easy to do.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question?
Sure.
So you've got to basically build a culture where people understand they're going to be held accountable for reading that email.
Oh,
yes?
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I make them all respond.
I do too.
I have a policy when I send any kind of an email, I put in the thing, please respond.
Right.
And they need to respond to let me know that they read it.
Right. And we do the same. We just have received and understood.
Mm-hmm.
So all they have to do is received and understood. And if they don't send that back, they get a call or we come up and see them and say, hey, did you get that email? Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And everybody here is trained in that fashion. So it's a good idea because it keeps everybody. It's not like to guys, this is not like something, where you're bringing down the hammer on somebody. It's sometimes people don't get emails. So you need to make sure that they're getting
They got it right.
Especially when you're sending out important messages, so definitely, make sure that you're following up and that they're responding. That's a good point. Another question is there an explanation of a point that I could just put down on a handout or tell people to read on their own time? Do that. A lot of companies have just simple things that they hand out, like a newsletter or this or that or a summary, every week. That's better than somebody spending 5 hours of your day. And we're talking about options here. You don't have to use all of them. You don't have to put in all of them. We're talking about different ways you can get this information out, right?
What strikes me about what you're saying is that you're treating your employers like they're adults. You're not holding their hands.
Yeah, you shouldn't. People
Right.
hate that.
Right.
Do you not hate that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm stating the obvious.
Don't you want to just go out and do your job? Isn't that what you
Exactly.
wanted to do when you worked?
Absolutely. One thing that you just said, which I think is a really great point. If people pay attention to the podcast, Andy reads a book a week. Andy reading a book a week makes Andy a very sharp leader. He's on his game. Andy doesn't need to come onto the podcast and read the book out loud to all of you. But if you really want to get to the next level, if Andy mentions the book, are you willing to go read the book? That's the point. Andy doesn't need to print out 25 pages from the book and read it. If he says it's a good book and it helps for these 3 points, read the book.
Right, and he's using Andy as a term for like you.
Right.
He's not talking specifically about
Correct.
me.
Right.
He's saying a leader, that's how you should be handling it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless you just want to come over and give me kids.
No,
You know what?
My point is, I'm thinking in my mind, some of the greatest leaders I've had, they are read up, they're reading the Wall Street Journal, they're reading books, they are
And they
staying
say,
on top of their
this
game.
is what I do.
Exactly.
And you should emulate that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the guy above you is going to want you to emulate those things because first of all, it's a humbling, respectful thing to do for you to look up and say, man, I want to be where that guy is. And when that guy has put in all this work and he says, this is how I got here, and he sees you doing the same, dude, you are like 5 million times ahead of everybody else because he sees himself in you.
While we're on the subject of books, real quick, for those of you who keep emailing asking for your Magic of Thinking Big book, I want to just say 2 things. Number 1, Andy is very generously giving out 700 copies of that book. Unfortunately, Andy only has 1 co-host who is handling this. So those books are going out. Just be patient.
Yeah.
We're getting them shipped in, and we haven't forgotten about you. However,
I already covered this yesterday on Periscope.
Good. Well,
like,
I'm
dude,
glad.
if you didn't send a fucking address in
Yeah.
and follow directions, you're not getting a book.
Okay, so you did. I didn't know
Yes.
that you covered
No,
that.
I told
So yeah,
people.
so
And
be
that's-
patient, guys.
We're going to teach everybody a lesson. You
Yeah.
follow directions, you get the result.
Right.
If you don't follow directions, tough shit.
Right. But either way, they're going out. So be patient.
The bottom line is this on the meeting stuff, right? You've got to be ruthless in how much you trim the fat. You can't look at, and this is hard for people who are like engaged and stuck in corporate America culture because this is like the opposite of what they're used to doing. So they see every little point. It's like, well, I don't know. There's 2 people in that room that could benefit from that. And cut that out. Okay.
Andy, I wanted to touch on is the other day I heard you, I think it was Periscope or something, you were talking about how you have like your top 5 actionable items every day that you have to get done.
Yeah.
And so that's when I'm making an agenda, that's what I always go by is what is the most important top 3 things that I need to talk about to move my business forward.
Right.
And I just leave everything else off.
Right.
Because it's just like you're saying, like if you start talking about too much, it just waters everything else down.
Yeah. And
so
they won't
that's
listen
kind of
to
how
you.
I always gauge my agendas.
Right. What, 5 points?
3. I try to stick with 3.
Yeah.
Important, whatever I'm trying to cover for that meeting.
Yeah, because people, it's the truth, guys. They just get overwhelmed. And if you give people, dude, it's the paradox of choice, right? There's a study called the paradox of choice, which means if you give people too many options, guess what they choose? Nothing. Okay? So if you give people 17 points, guess which ones they're going to remember? They're going to remember the fucking long johns. You know what I mean? And that's not what you want them to remember. We're running a business. We're running a company. We're here to win. We're here to do shit. Let's not worry about what orange juice we have or what, people are like, I'm just going to go off here for a second. Okay. Just warning you. But the corporate America culture of like where we get our donuts and where we get our coffee and where we get this, and we're going to go have drinks and we're going to do this. And people are so wrapped up in like playing the role of what they see business to be that they never fucking get anywhere. And it's like disgusting to me. Like I go to meetings at other companies sometimes and they're like, oh, well, we can't start the meeting until the donuts are here. Motherfucker, I'm not here for the fucking donuts. I don't give a shit about the donuts. I don't care about the fucking breakfast burritos. I don't give a shit about that. You know what I care about? How can we move forward? And guess what? That's what your employees care about. And if they don't care about that, you've got the wrong fucking culture going for your company. And I did not say you had the wrong employees. I said you had the wrong culture. Okay? Because the culture is instilled by you. Okay? If you've got people worrying about the orange juice or the kind of bottled water they have, or the icing on the Long John isn't perfectly straight, dude, you have the wrong culture. People are worried about the wrong shit, and guess whose fault that is? That's not their fault. That's your fault. You know, and it's time to change it. The corporate America thing, it's done. You know, and so many people I see, they try to run their business in that manner because they think that's what business is supposed to be. I don't know if they like see movies and
Always
shit.
been done that way.
You know what I'm saying? Like they see movies, they see TV shows, and they see people doing this. Yeah, and you know, I don't know. It just disgusts me. I couldn't survive in that environment, which is probably why I own my own business.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, could you see
Why
me
you're
in a
here.
fucking office like that?
Oh my God.
Dude, talk about like going crazy, man. Like I would go fucking crazy. You know? Ben, what kind of donuts you
would.
bringing next time?
Yeah, Long John's.
Yeah. Well, let's be real, dude. Is there a better donut than the Long John?
I have never heard of that, for the record. I thought you were talking about underwear. I'm sitting
You
here.
don't know what a fucking Long John
I've
is?
never heard of Long John.
Of course, the
I'm like
fitness
sitting
CEO.
here, I'm like, what's a long
We've
John?
got
Are they
two
talking about
fitness company
underwear?
CEOs. One of them's in perfect shape, and the other one knows what Long John is. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Tyler, you're in good shape, but I know you know what Long John is. Dude.
Is that like a Midwest thing? Because I'm
No,
like,
dude. You don't know what a Long John is?
Wait, you think they're better than Bear
is that
Claws?
like a long
yeah.
donut? Like a
No,
jelly
it's like the
donut?
long ones with icing on them.
I've never heard of
Dude,
that.
pull up a
No.
picture of fucking Long John. So
That's
we have a rule
hilarious.
here at the podcast where there's no computers, no phones allowed. But I'm
Look
breaking
up a Long John.
But
I'm
we're
breaking the
Googling the
rule
Long
right
John.
now because
Right.
it's unbelievable to me that you don't know what a Long John is.
Yeah.
I am not.
Do
a
they
big
call them
donut
different
fan.
things in different parts of the
Now,
country?
if we're talking about kettle chips, I know every brand and flavor.
Man,
of
those are
kettle
good, too.
chips. That is my
Kettle
vice.
chips are the shit.
Donuts,
Yeah.
not so much.
Yeah.
I'm a soft
Now the
person.
question I want
What
to
do
know
you
is
call
if
a
anybody.
long donut with icing on it?
The ones that look
A
like
long john, apparently.
no, they look. You know what an eclair is?
I don't eat donuts, so is it an eclair? Yeah,
But it,
right?
eclairs
It's
have the
not an
filling.
A jelly
eclair.
donut. I don't know.
What's
I
that
don't eat
donut right
donuts.
there? We're showing her a picture of it. What do you guys call
Oh, is
that?
that a long? I don't know. I've never called them anything. I don't know.
You just so
is
if you
that
go
an eclair? That's
if
an
you
eclair.
go if you go to the donut shop and say I want, do you just say I want that one?
I never go to the donut. I swear to God. When
You've
I
been
was
to
in
a
high
fucking
school, you
donut
know what I used
shop.
to eat? Krispy Kremes. That's the only ones that
Right.
I only eat glazed.
Well, they
donuts.
have
That's
Long
it.
Johns.
I only
Yeah.
eat glazed.
Yeah.
I'm a simple girl.
So what would you call that thing?
A donut.
No, that's a Long John.
That's all.
See,
I am informed now.
listen, you learn something new every day here. All right, that's the goal.
I'm totally informed.
do.
Now I have to go try one.
You do.
You think so?
Happy
Raspberry
meal. Next
jelly
Happy
filled.
Meal.
What's your favorite donut?
Vincent Van Donut, the glazed with white icing. It's
Yeah.
See, glazed is-
unbelievable.
Dude, I like
my
strange
jam.
donuts
Glazed
here in
with
St. Louis.
icing.
Yeah, strange
Unreal.
donuts.
Strange
good.
donuts. Have you had them yet? Holy shit, dude. Yeah. No, dude. Listen, those guys like they.
that a chain?
They're a local shop, but they're hitting it big, man.
They've
These
got a
guys-
couple of stores
they've got-
though, right?
Yeah, they've got
Yeah,
crazy donuts, dude. Like shit that you would think like, oh, that doesn't sound very good, but then it's awesome. Like they're just a cool little business. They made friends with our guys at Brentwood S2 at the local store here, and then they bring them in here.
All right, I'm getting hungry.
And dude, I mean, I'm not a donut guy, but those guys got it down.
Have
know?
you ever gone to Canada and had Tim Hortons?
No.
Have you been Tim Hortons?
Yeah, I've not had their donuts. up
Oh
there.
man.
Did you see the one I posted
good.
from Brooklyn with the donut with the ice cream?
Oh yeah.
That
I
was
thought you didn't like donuts, liar.
It's a glazed donut. I go glazed.
Look
I'm
at-
simple.
She's on here being inauthentic. One of
What's
the
a
rules
donut?
One of the rules of the MFCEO project is to be authentic. She's on here telling fucking lies. I don't like donuts unless they have ice cream. Then I like them. Then I know what they are.
Always glazed though. I said
Right.
I'm simple. I only eat glazed donuts. I don't
If anybody out there has a startup for donuts and you think they're really good, send us some.
we'll test them.
And send me some gluten-free ones.
Dude, we got to support the
I
local
only eat
guys, the
gluten-free.
strange
Yeah.
donut
Yeah.
guys, man. Those guys are local. They're hard
Yeah,
workers.
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
we love those guys here.
Yeah, they're good. They're
So-
good. So we're talking about donuts. What?
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back on track. All right.
Hey, you know what? Actually, now would be a good time for me to do the boring stuff.
All right. Do the boring stuff.
All right. So the boring stuff is check out the mfceo.com/P15 for episode show notes and links galore. We love it when you guys go to our website. We know that there's still not a lot of product up there, but there will be, so trust us very soon. So keep on going back. Let's go do the social media connections, starting with the lovely Bikini Boss.
Oh, am I sharing my social?
Yes.
It's Bikini Boss Teresa is my Instagram, and my Facebook is Teresa Di Pasquale, WBFF Pro.
Great, Andy?
I'm at Andy Frisella on Instagram, at Andy Frisella on Periscope, and MFCEO-1 on Snapchat.
Periscope, Instagram, Twitter, at Continued Fight, and Ben Newman for everything else.
At Vaughn Kohler, VAUGHN, for everything.
All right, guys. So before you finish with the boring shit,
I'm done.
okay, please, when you listen to the podcast, please leave us a review, okay? We're not charging for the podcast. We don't hawk shit on here. You know, we're asking for reviews. If you find the content valuable, leave a fucking review and say so, because that's how we live and breathe and die on iTunes, okay? So if you're listening and you think the podcast is great, leave us a review. If you don't think it's good, just forget that I said that. Don't leave us a review. But, you know.
While we're on that topic, I just thought we don't have to do it today, but I thought in the future I want to start giving more shout-outs to some of our fans through social media. So we'll probably, if you post nice comments on our social media accounts,
got one.
why don't you give somebody a shout-out?
I've got one here, man.
I'm going to break the rule. You broke the rule. I can break the rule.
Yeah, look, dude. I've got people coming on Periscope, dude, leaving like 10,000 hearts on a Periscope broadcast.
That's awesome.
I mean, crazy shit. And, you know, I want to mention some people. We've got Jordan Benedum. Dude, he's always leaving huge amounts of hearts.
It's at Jordan Benedum?
No, he is at always X22. Okay. And then I got Jeff Rowlett at NNN Rowlett. Guy's killing it on Periscope. Travis Newman at Travis J. Newman. Sue Nielsen at Sue Nielsen. Dude's killing it on Periscope. I mean, dude, these guys come on. And guys, I just want to, you know, those are just a few. I've got a lot of people who are just killing it with the support on Periscope.
Yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned, we've got to the top 40 in the world now. And people understand that our mission with the MFCEO project, I think some people aren't grasping it. And, you know, guys, our reason for doing this is because the way people have been raised for the last 25 years is, quite honestly, from my point of view, total bullshit. Okay. They come out with this, everybody wins, everybody gets a trophy, life is going to be perfect. And then you get to be like 25 years old and you're like, where's my millions of dollars and why aren't I famous and why am I not successful? That's because the people who raised you fucking lied to you. Okay. Right. And the politically correct, society that we live in painted this perfect picture that isn't the truth. So our mission here is, and why it's called the MFCEO Project, is because this is a fucking project for us. This isn't something we get paid for. This is something we do because we want to change the world. And we want to make an impact on 1 billion lives. Okay. That's our goal. Our goal is to impact positively 1 billion lives. So when these people come on Periscope and they push and push and push and click the hearts and so leave reviews on our podcast and all that, you guys are a part of us fixing an issue with our society. That's
Absolutely.
our goal. And guys, you guys who are hardcore supporting us and pushing us forward, thank you so much, because it's something that needs to be done. I don't see very many other people really doing this, and it needs to be done. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
So we just really appreciate the support.
Can I give a couple shout outs?
Yeah.
So, guy, I don't even know how to say this, but a guy at Liosco83_ train to live just said something really nice about us and how much it meant that we built him up and encouraged him every day. There's an at Johanna, if I'm saying that right, it could be just Joanna, but it's at Johanna Cabral. She said some really nice things. And then I got a kick out of this yesterday. And of course, Ben is up till all hours of the night, but I couldn't sleep last night. I was up at like 3:00 in the morning, and I noticed that somebody literally and actually I was up before that, but somebody literally like 5 minutes after the podcast dropped, because it drops at midnight.
Yeah.
I think like 5 minutes after, somebody posted a pair of clapping hands, and that was at Margarita Fit 11.
Yeah, I recognize her.
Yeah.
She's always on Periscope too.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I even messaged her. I said, boy, are you up early? Either that or out late. Yeah. So, but you know, we have tremendous fans who are incredibly supportive, and I don't know. You call them fans, followers, listeners. I don't know.
No, we're part of a movement.
Yeah, we're
You guys are
part of a movement.
We might be sitting here talking about these things, but you guys are supporting it, spreading it, telling your friends, sharing it, giving hearts, leaving reviews, and that's what propels this message.
Yeah.
So, and that's the point that I want to say is just thank you so much for making that happen, because we could sit here and talk about this stuff all day long, but if nobody listens or nobody reviews or nobody supports it, it doesn't fucking matter.
Absolutely.
So you guys are the lifeblood of what we do.
Absolutely.
Right? And I just,
and that's not a tangent. We definitely don't consider that getting off topic, because that's very, very, very important to what we do here.
Yeah. I mean, it's humbling for sure, man. It's exciting too, because I feel like we're making a difference, you know? Like, and when I say we, I don't mean like we in this room. I mean everybody listening.
Yeah.
Like we're making a fucking shift. Mm-hmm. You know, I see people every day on social media getting more and more and more tired of the politically correct, ridiculous shit that everybody argues about. You know, we're not letting the media turn against each other and get us on different sides of irrelevant shit anymore.
Right.
And I think society's changing. I feel like we're turning. We're sick. We're all sick of it.
Right.
You know, so it's fun to be a part of that.
Yeah. You know what I absolutely love about our sort of our listener base too? At least this is the case with me, and I'm pretty sure it's the case with you guys too. I have people that follow me, and their handle is like at Jesus Loves You 2312, and then another one will be like at Squat to Dominate 26. You know, and it's just a very wide variety of people.
That's because we're all tired
awesome.
of it.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff we're talking about, like this meeting shit that we're talking about right here, all of us have sat through that stuff. All of us know what it's like to have somebody make a comment at us, towards us, that discourages us or makes us upset, like we talked about on the intro. Mm-hmm. All of us know what it's like to build a culture if you run a business, how hard that is. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what it's like to deal with someone who's offended by every little fucking thing and be like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? You know what I mean? We're all tired of that shit. And that's the point, right? We all stand for the same things. We all are pushing forward together, and it's exciting because I can see it making an impact. It's really, really cool to be a part of. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do. But to bring it back on track and get back to the topic, you know, guys, there's a fine line. This will be point number 3 of the meeting thing, okay? There's a fine line between a good, healthy discussion of a business or a problem in a meeting and just a group gossip clusterfuck deal, okay? I'd be very careful before you open up a meeting and letting every single person have their 2 cents, okay? It's not a group discussion. It's not, you know, we're not here to like gossip or talk about the game last night. Come in, have people pay attention, make your points, ask if they have any questions, move on. All right? There's got to be some control there. And I see a lot of people just throw meetings and they want to make sure everybody has their whole 2 cents and this and that. And then what you end up with is something that never was intended to happen. You never end up with something that provides a result. You end up with this off-topic discussion about how the water cooler should be filled every 3 days instead of every 2 days. Mm-hmm. Shit that's irrelevant, okay? It's not that you don't value employees' opinion, because that's important, but the reality is that the problems are better shared through an email or a quick impromptu meeting or some other form or way than they are addressing it with the whole group. Because if somebody has an idea, it's important that you listen to that idea, because you don't want to devalue or demotivate that person, even if the idea is fucking terrible. Most people just want to be heard, okay? And those times are very good to educate people. They're very good to bring people on track with what's going on. But that shouldn't be done on meeting time with the whole group, all right? And far too often I see people trying to address, you know, and give everybody their input and everybody has the floor for 30 minutes. And you got to realize that when you have 12 people, for 10 of those people, that might be the most attention they ever get. And boy, do they use it.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, we don't have this problem here at our company because, like I said, we keep it short. We get to the point, we get some action steps, and we move the fuck on. But in many companies, getting feedback from people gives them the impression that that you're actually going to take their advice and everybody's going to listen to them, and then they get really upset, okay, when you don't. So, like, let's say you give Joe from accounting the floor for 10 minutes, and he pours his heart out. He goes home. He says, "Baby, it was awesome. I ran the meeting today. Everybody listened to what I had to say, blah, blah, blah." And then he goes to work the next day, and it's not implemented. And the boss says, "Hey, man, you know, I think that's a decent idea, but we used to do it that way before you were here and it didn't work. And this is why it didn't work. Then he goes home that next time. He's like, those motherfuckers made me look stupid because they let me say my idea in front of everybody. And now I'm embarrassed. Right? Because that's what it comes down to. They say their idea in front of everybody. You don't implement it. So it's embarrassing. So like, guys, there's a time and a place for everything, and realize that when you think you're doing somebody a favor in a meeting by giving them the floor for 20 minutes and letting them throw their idea out there, how are they going to feel when you don't put it into play? They're going to be embarrassed, and they're going to fucking hate you for it. All right? So you're doing them a favor by handling those kind of things privately. Bottom line is this. You're the leader. Along with a few trusted advisors, it's up to you guys to make the tough, critical decisions, okay? You put too much up for discussion and decision-making by consensus, and you're going to make everybody look stupid, and you're going to look stupid. You're going to walk out of there with no clear vision, no action steps, no agenda to improve, and you're going to kill everybody's morale. So it's up to you to come in, run shit, and get out and make shit happen. You know what I mean? You can't spend time after time after time just letting everybody have the run. If somebody has something that they want to address, they come to your office or they call you on the phone or they meet with you personally and you handle it then.
Do you mind if I point a question toward Teresa?
Go ahead.
On that. So I could very much be in danger of stereotyping here, but I'm going to ask. Women tend to be more relational than men. So some of their leadership style is a little different, a little bit more all-inclusive. Do you as a woman feel maybe a little bit more of a pressure to get everybody's feedback? Or do you feel as if, if you just, set an agenda, you power through it, that you're going to get this sort of bitch label? Do you feel that? And do you think that other women who are entrepreneurs out there feel that? Or
I mean, I can tell you who I am is I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. So there are times when I need to be that way and I'm not. So I hire for that. But I am more of the take charge, come in, get to the point. And to be honest, I'd rather be taken seriously than have people come and be like, oh my gosh, she's having another meeting. So I just am naturally that way. I don't know if I'm your stereotypical woman though. I think I'm more inclined to manage like a male would. I don't even know if that's true these days.
I don't even think it's about that. Yeah. I think it's about this. I don't think it has to do with man or woman. I think that I think the reason you're asking the question is because, typically women are labeled more emotional and sensitive than men. But I don't even think that's the case because, we have more men than women. And I'm going to tell you right now, the women that we have kick fucking ass. They don't ask any questions. They go do shit. And dude, the guys I end up having to coddle are they're the guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? And dude, it's because, dude, it's hard to say this, so I don't know if it's going to come out right, but when you allow for that emotional aspect, you start asking questions like, are you emotionally okay? Do you feel good? You're going to encourage that from your employees. So what you're going to do is when you try to overly make people comfortable and make sure that their little asses weren't hurt and, let sure they be heard, you're going to create that mentality because they're going to know that they can wind their way into your office or into your ear. All right. So It's important that people realize in your company that this is a fucking business. Yes, I care about you, but the way I care about you is this, that we're going to go out, we're going to fucking win. You're going to get paid more than you get paid now. You're going to have more satisfaction than you have now. And if that means that I'm not going to listen to you pout about how you got in a fight with your girlfriend last night, then good, because that is not my role. If you have a problem with that, go to a fucking counselor and talk to them, because I love my employees. I'll fucking do anything for them. But my responsibility is to make sure that this company grows so that they have better fucking lives. Absolutely. So they have more options. So they can give more to charity if they choose. They can drive a better car. They can buy a better house. They can have more fulfillment. Their lives can fucking be better. And that's the responsibility you have. So when you start catering to all these emotional needs and all this stuff, and you've got 25 HR people and one for each person and all this bullshit, dude, you are focused on the wrong shit. Period. And I know people are going to blast me for that, and I don't give a fuck because it's the truth. I'm not here to pamper your ass. I'm here to get you a result in a certain area of your life, and that's what we're going to fucking do. Bottom line. So if you don't want the emotional, bitch whine cry fest, don't fucking entertain it. Yeah. Exactly. I don't. I will flat out tell somebody, when I'm fighting with my girlfriend, that's not my fucking responsibility. Your responsibility is to leave that shit at home and come here and fucking perform. Period. And, you'll read all these articles. You read all these articles now that say, Yeah, but companies that care about their employees win, and companies that provide these services for their employees win. Blah, 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 blah. And all this feel-good nonsense, that's not reality. That's bullshit.
Okay, so one of the things that I just wanted to mention, though, to make a distinction here, is I think that the oversensitivity is so great that it actually makes it difficult to really be sensitive to your employers when they really need it. So like if they have a death in the family, or if their wife cheats on them or something.
Let me stop there, okay?
Yeah.
Because what I just said, there's exceptions to, no question. I mean, there's been situations, guys, where in our company where people have really needed us to step in on their personal lives, and we have. And if you ask any of my employees, you'll know that's the truth. There's been times where times have been tough and we stepped in and helped them. There's times when our own employees have stepped in and helped them. Dude, let me tell you a cool story. I had an employee one time, and he's no longer with us, but he's still a good guy, and I like him a lot. He moved on to another company, and he's doing well. He's doing his own thing, but he was struggling. Okay, he was taking a cat. This guy had a car. He had an old pickup truck. Okay, and he was driving it from about 30 miles from where he lived to where he worked. All right. The truck broke down. He didn't tell anybody. And he started taking a cab to work 30 miles each way. Okay. Now, this guy was entry-level position for us, okay, which is not a lot of money. So he was spending his entire paycheck to take this cab to work. Nobody knew. He didn't bitch about it or anything. He showed up at a cab one day. Our employees noticed it, brought it to us. And I said, okay, guys, and we just happened to have a contest going on there where all the managers were getting a multi-$1,000 bonus, okay, if we performed. And we were about to hit that. And I said, all right, guys, look, here's the deal. We can do something about this. If you guys all want to pitch in, I'll pitch in an equal amount and match it, and we'll buy them a car. And, dude, all of our guys, this is the kind of culture we have. All of our guys gave up their personal bonuses to buy this guy a car. And we matched it. Me and Chris matched it. We bought him a Jeep Cherokee, and he was. But dude, the point of what I'm trying to get at here is that we come through, and it's important as a leader to recognize when there is a real situation, because when you start, Vaughn, that's an excellent point. I'm so glad you brought that up, because otherwise people are gonna be like, God, this guy's a fucking ruthless motherfucker, and I am to a point. But I ultimately really care about our employees, and you should too. And that's why you have to keep these bullshit situations out of your ear, so that whenever there is a real situation, you know that it's there and you can do something about it, because that is your responsibility. I mean, you've got these people's livelihoods in your hand. If you want a culture of people that are going to do anything for you and have your back, you got to have their back too. But you don't do that by making it an emotional fucking kumbaya meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's a great point. For sure. I mean, that's what we're getting.
Well,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew that's how
Thanks
you
for
felt.
saving me, because I was about to look like a huge asshole.
No. I mean, but the point, again, just to restate it a different way, is that when everything is a major crisis, it distracts you from when things really are a major crisis.
Right. It's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And I knew that you didn't feel that way about it. So I want to make sure that we clarify.
Yeah, but that's why we don't allow the everybody hold hands and express their feelings shit here. It's just not. It's not the place.
Right.
It's just not. So, guys, I'm going to wrap this up, because we're getting long-winded, and I think we've made our point here. You have to be ruthless in cutting down the unnecessary bullshit on what's the agenda in a huge way, okay? Meetings aren't as much about information as they're about formation. Meetings aren't about covering your to-do list as much as developing your team, all right? So you have to reinforce your core values. You have to create company culture, and you have to inspire action every single time. This is about getting guys off the playing court, all right? We blow the whistle. We have a timeout. Hey, guys, come here. We got to do this. Go out and do it. And that should be it. It should be that quick. And, some other things that you can do about increasing the effectiveness of your meeting and increasing the power of your meeting. This is what I like to do, a motivational thought or speech of some kind. I'm naturally inclined to do those kind of things. Not everybody is. So if you're not a natural motivator, if you don't have the energy to motivate, and you're not that kind of person, you can find other ways to inspire people. Maybe you read them a story. Maybe you find a news clipping and you tell the story, and then relate it to something that's going on. You don't have to be this fiery, crazy, emotional dude to motivate people.
Or you could hire Ben.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. You can hire Ben to come in and train you how to speak. I mean, or speak. I mean, the thing is, guys, is that there's a lot of things that you can do to help improve the action that your company has. Maybe you tell them a story that reinforces only one of your core values, and you start the meeting off with that. And then you go into your action points, all right? Mm-hmm. You celebrate and recognize a quick success. Somebody who did something that kicks ass. You can say, hey, look, this guy did that. Good job, man. That's the way to do it. And dude, that guy walks out of your meeting on cloud 9, and your 10 other guys in the meeting walk out and say, man, that was pretty cool. I'm going to try to do that too. Giving them example, giving them a quick tip on something that they can apply today into their jobs, a sales technique, or how to send a certain kind of email, or how to contact a certain kind of person. There's all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, you have to remember, you have to value their time. You have to provide value, just like we talk in products, just like we talk in service, just like we talk in any sort of business, for the time that they spend in the meeting. Just because you're writing the paycheck doesn't mean that your job is just to come in and not create value. If you're not creating value, you're going to water down your customer. You're going to create the woman who says she's dying inside in the elevator, like we talked about a minute ago. Mm-hmm. You just don't want to leave these guys bored or mentally exhausted or wishing they were somewhere else. You want to leave them energized. You want to leave them motivated. And, we told a story last time about our kill, kill, kill chant. And that's how we get our stuff done. We're an unorthodox place to work. There's no question about it. But we end our meeting with a chant, dude. Everybody puts in their hands and we do a kill, 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 and we get out and fucking dominate. And that's just like if we were running a sports team. I mean,
right. It's no different. The battle cry that we teach the sports teams, whether it's collegiate champions, high school champions, guys you guys are watching on Sundays in the NFL, it's max effort pays off. It's a simple statement. When we say max effort pays off, it focuses you on going to work. Nothing else.
Right.
Go to work.
Right.
That's the most important thing. You put your max effort in, it's going to pay off long term.
Mm-hmm. There's no question. I mean, here it is, guys. Quit worrying about the donuts. Quit worrying about what clothes you wear to work. Quit worrying about what fucking orange juice supplier you have. Quit worrying about when the water cooler's refilled. Quit worrying about your expense reports and the TPS reports. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about here. All right? Stop worrying about that shit. Get to the fucking point and bring the fucking fire. That's it. Get people refocused. Get them out the door and let them go do their jobs. Give them a purpose. Get them out. Let's go kill. That's the point. All right? You cannot let meetings go on and on and on and on and just kill the inside of your employees. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible for your culture. And if you're doing this, stop right now before you have another meeting. Listen to this podcast 17 times, 70 times, 700 times until you figure out how to implement this strategy. And you will see production increase. You will see enthusiasm increase. You will see motivation increase. And you will see your business's bottom line increase. All because you're changing the way you handle yourself in a meeting.
So a question I have to ask, though, is that you mentioned about, taking some time, doing some motivational speech or some motivational thought. And I know you did offer some qualifications there. You said that's what you like to do and that's not for everybody. But, we've all heard the stories of somebody who said, oh, yeah, my boss was trying to be Abraham Lincoln or Winston Churchill the other day, trying to rally the troops. And with some guys who really mean well, it just falls flat. Why doesn't it work for some people?
I think you need to check your ego at the door. It's the leader who comes in who tries to fake it or to be Abraham Lincoln instead of just saying, you know what, guys, sometimes I need to go find fire. You know me. I'm not a fiery guy. So here's some fire that I found for you. And I think when a leader can check their ego on places where they're weak and deliver something of value, it makes a big, big difference.
No question. And when I think of when you say that, when you're watching football, okay, and I know you watch football, and I know you watch football. I don't know if you watch football. Do you watch it?
Occasionally.
Do you?
Bucks.
With a donut.
With a Long John?
Glazed donut.
So here's the thing.
As much as I eat Long Johns.
Like, how annoying is it when you have a broadcaster and they run, you already know what I'm going to say. Ben's shaking his hand. The running back gets the ball. He runs 2 yards. He's like, oh, he's going all the way. Every single play. Like, he's trying to make the most perfect call every fucking play of the game. It's the most annoying thing to watch a game when an announcer does that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
You recognize it, right? Mm-hmm. You recognize it, right? All right, well, your employees recognize when you come in and try to do that same shit. Mm-hmm. All right, when you come in and try to make today Dude, when you bring the fire, it's just natural, man. So you have to be self-aware enough to know, like, hey, that's not my specialty. And if you want to go out and work on it, that doesn't mean you can't get great at it. But don't come in every day trying to set records for fucking applause or autographs or whatever it is you think you're trying to get. Come in with the message. If you're not feeling that day, don't do it that day. I think that's an important thing when you talk about motivational speaking. I don't jump on Periscope or write something motivational or do motivational shit when I'm not feeling it. I just don't, because you know what I produce? Junk. When I'm feeling like that, like if I come into a meeting and I'm feeling that way, I tell a story about someone else, or I bring up something someone else did. You don't have to wear that hat 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
I call it real-time fire. For those of you that follow me on Periscope, I'll typically title it real-time fire with a point. And you do the same thing. When you're feeling it, you get on Periscope and you share something that's actually real, because that's what people feel.
Right. And that's why I'm not on at scheduled times. You know, I come on when I'm feeling it, because I know that's when the good shit comes. And the same thing is with your meeting. If you're a naturally fire, intense, emotional person like I am, dude, I can come in and transform myself into that person pretty quick, because it's my natural inclination to be that way. All right. If you're not that way, that's okay. Just don't come in and try to be that. You're going to embarrass yourself, and your employees aren't going to respect you. You know what I mean? Come in and be who you are, and say like what Ben said. Hey man, you guys know it's not my nature to get all fiery and emotional and crazy, but look, I thought this was awesome. And tell the story, or show them the story, or bring it up, and that's how you can get into that aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I absolutely love what you said about that meetings are not as much about information as they are about formation, the development of your team, the building of your culture. And I love what Will Compton said, several episodes back, that leadership involves the transfer of passion. I've been reading a lot of books lately.
A great statement.
It's a great statement, and I've been reading a lot of books lately about how human beings are connected. And there's a great book by David Brooks, New York Times bestselling author, who wrote a book called The Social Animal. There's a couple other books, and they all say the same thing. They say everything about us is contagious. We are wired to communicate who we are to somebody else. So these meetings that you're talking about having, it's not just about, oh, guys, we're going to cover agenda point A, B, C. It's, this is who I am. This is my vision. This is my enthusiasm. This is my passion for this company and the culture that I want to create. And now through this meeting, I'm transferring it to you.
And the funny thing is, sorry, I was taking a drink of water. The funny thing is about that is that when you do that in an authentic fashion, you don't have to be emotional and fiery to inspire people. You know what I mean? People will respect you. And that gets people, they say, man, this dude really cares about what we got going on. Let's get out and do this shit. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, because a lot of people, I get asked this a lot as well. Like, how do you get your mentality right? Or how do you get your energy? Or how do you get, man, I can't answer that, because that's my natural inclination, is to be that way. Like, I'm high strung, I'm intense, I go fucking crazy. And sometimes that's not a good thing. It's taken me a long time to harness that in. But if that's not you, that's okay, because most leaders aren't that way. Most leaders just understand how to utilize their skills that they have. And that's the bottom line, guys.
Right.
But if you implement this strategy, whether you're, what we've talked about in this podcast, whether you're, Tony Robbins, or whether you're the dude from Office Space asking for his TPS reports, you know what I mean? The point is that you could get shit done by doing this. And that's what we want to get across to you guys. How to create a productive environment that actually fires up your team, because the process is done the right way.
Can I capture an action step?
Absolutely.
So, I think what Andy's really getting at is the fact that, it's challenging to change sometimes, but why wouldn't you try it? Right? I mean, if you feel like people have those emoji faces and you're looking out, why wouldn't you try a 10-minute meeting? Try a 10-minute meeting and see what happens. The efficiency will change. People's energy will change. And I have seen this work with so many different companies.
I agree 1,000%. Vaughn, we're going to wrap it up. So I'm just going to take that as your final thought. Final thought.
Yeah, just the final thought is that it's always better to leave people wanting more than to overdo it. So cover what little you need to cover, get people fired up, and just trust that your guys know what to do and that they can cover other things through email and through, one-on-one meetings.
Final thought, Teresa.
I think the takeaway from this is really, like you said, just valuing people's time, and you're going to see the respect that they have for you increase just exponentially just from that one little act.
Right. You all those things are good points. Guys, look, we're trying to show you how to be more productive and to get more out of your time and also be more effective, okay? Being busy at work does not mean you're working. Pretending to work is not being working. You know, people say, oh, I worked 72 hours in a 24-hour period. No. If you did that, you're either dumb or you don't know what the fuck you're doing, all right? So get out of your mind. Quit worrying about the donuts. Quit worrying about the orange juice. You know, quit worrying about shit that doesn't matter. Focus on the shit that matters and execute. And that's how you're going to move forward. And that's the point. And if you have people that you have to talk to for an hour to get them to go out and execute, you've instilled the wrong culture or you have the wrong people. Keep it short. Keep it simple. Bring the fucking fire and get them out of the door so we can kick ass. That's the point. All right? And this is the motherfucking CEO.